Okay. Welcome back. A long time, and finally we are back at our Paradygm podcast studios for a very good reason. Today with us we have one of the most inspiring personalities, national hero, I'd say, Ujjwal Dai. Welcome
Thank you
to
so
the
much.
show.
Thank you.
I mean, I've had the opportunity of talking to you about various एस्पेक्ट्स हाम्रो सोसाइटीमा भइरहेको कुराहरू. आई थिङ्क लास्ट टाइम हामी कुरा गर्दाखेरि एसिड अट्याककै कुरामा हामी मजाले बसेको थियौँ. आई गट टु लर्न अ लिटल. अनि इन द पास्ट फ्यु विक्स विन्टरमा हुने अलिकति नेपालभरि भइरहेको एउटा प्रब्लम द्याट हेज बिन इग्नोर्ड फर फार टु लङ, त्यसको बारेमा कुरा राख्नु भएको थियो. एन्ड आई थट ओके वी सुड गेट ब्याक टु द पोडकास्ट एन्ड डिस्कस एन्ड लेट पिपल नो वाट्स ह्यापनिङ भनेर. सो उज्जवल दाई, वेलकम अगेन.
Thank you.
एउटा सानो आफ्नो इन्ट्रोडक्सन दिइदिनुहुन्छ बिफोर वी
I'm basically a simple man with a very kind heart, I would say, because what started as a journey to actually help out a little girl that I saw badly burnt in a hospital has taken my life. So I would call it a calling that came in my life. मैले सकेसम्म जतिलाई सक्छु, I've dealt with thousands of people who are unfortunate to get burnt in this country, whether it is by crime or by an accident. I know. So it is something that I've taken it as a cause of my life, that the government must notice this problem that we have, because I think in human life we go through different kind of pain. But being burnt alive is definitely on the highest side of it. I don't think there is anything more painful a human being can ever go through than getting burnt alive. And with that, when you don't have help, finance, knowledge, or even a place for treatment, it makes it the worst thing that a human being can ever go through in Nepal. So that's what I've taken up as a cause in my life.
सो मैले चाहिँ अफकोर्स अब धेरैजना हाम्रो साथीभाइहरूमा नि तपाईँसँग काम गर्दाखेरि ओके इज वर्किङ अन दिस अर नेपालमा जहाँ पनि कि एसिड अट्याक आई थिङ्क मुस्कानसँग पनि अर वेयर आई जस्ट मेट अ फ्यु पिपल द्याट अल्सो अब एकछिनमा गइदिए जस्तो मात्रै गरेर भेट्दा मात्रै हो, तर त्यसमा फुल्ली लागेर तपाईँ अगाडि बढ्नु भएको छ. अनि अल्सो दिस गेटिङ बर्न अलाइभ थिङ द्याट इज सो न्यू टु मी टु हुन्छ नि नो अबाउट. यसको बारेमा नि लाइक वाट्स ह्यापनिङ, वाट्स गोइङ अन.
होइन, यस्तो छ भाइ, टिल 2004 WHO used to give us statistics about the burn cases in Nepal, which they estimated was about 55 to 65,000 people get burnt alive every year in Nepal. Reasons are different.
65,000 people get burned alive every year.
Every year. That is in 2006. From 2006, WHO stopped giving statistics. Now it's 2024. So now just add a few thousands to it. So according to me, approximately about 1 lakh people get burnt in Nepal every year. Does anyone know about it? No. Kina. That's been my question, right? It's because I think the most unfortunate, the poorest of the poor, get burnt. Reason ke bhani bhai, during winter months, we all love to stay warm. So we've got our clothing, we've got our food, we've got our homes, we've got different heating systems. Can you close your eyes and think about someone who lives in far-fetched sites of Nepal, especially those areas which are extremely cold during winters? No clothes, no food, no proper houses. So what do you depend on? You depend on fire, right? केही सेकेन्ड भित्रमै अकल्पनीय दुर्घटनाहरू घट्छन्, किनभने अहिलेको मोडर्न क्लोदिङ इज अल प्लास्टिक एन्ड नाइलन. सो देयर आर मल्टिपल रिजन्स वाइ अ बर्न ह्यापन्स. फर इक्जाम्पल, हामी ह्युमन बिइङ भएपछि फ्रम आई थिङ्क इटर्निटी, रिलेसनसिप बिट्विन फायर एन्ड ह्युमन हेज अलवेज बिन देयर, किनभने बिना आगो हामी बाँच्न सक्दैनौँ. So we've got different things that we use. We've got gas cylinders in modern cities. Paila kerosene huntyo. Now it is gas cylinders and induction heaters. Then we've got warm room heaters, which might be gas, which might be electrical. Then we've got firewood. In the cities, we call it bonfire. Right? In the villages, that's the thing that keeps your food. Right? That's the thing that runs your kitchen. So open fire. Now, सानो एउटा amazing part के छ भने, out of thousands of burnt people that I have met in Nepal, एउटा चीज is always common. हजुर मलाई होला भनेर त मैले सोचेकै थिइनँ. Because it's an accident. And it happens within microseconds. Right? We've got... it's very difficult to tell people in Kathmandu. किनभने I think the modern age people do not understand Nepal. Nepal is not Kathmandu. Nepal is not Pokhara. Nepal is much bigger than this. The problems of poverty in Nepal is inhuman. Right? People talk about human rights. I tell so many of them, a certain percentage of people in Nepal are still evolving to be human beings. If you look at the way they live, if you look at the way they fetch their food, they still, in the jungle age.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah.
So now, these are the people who fall victims to fire burns, the open fire. Right? I've got cases which are unthinkable. Malai ta ke pani लाग्छ भने bhai, having children at home, I know a father's feeling when someone is sick, right? Being someone's son, I know the feeling when your parents are sick or your family members are sick. Tara, one amazing part about Nepal is poverty gives you a pain-bearing capacity that we cannot imagine. Mugu bada, या ताप्लेजुङबाट या सुदूरपश्चिम कर्णालीका कुनै ठाउँबाट 40% 50% जलेका बालबालिकाहरू जीवित काठमाडौँ कसरी आइपुग्छन्, इट डजन्ट मेक सेन्स टु मी. यति पेनफुल हुन्छ that I don't think anyone can explain it in words, right? तर एउटा चीज अमेजिङ छ भाइ ह्युमन लाइफमा, रिलेसनशिप. सिटी र रुरल नेपालको रिलेसनशिप्स आर टु डिफरेन्ट बल गेम्स. हामी कहाँ we are obsessed with skin deep beauty. We are obsessed with skin deep relationships. What you wear, what you carry, what car you drive, all of them make a lot of difference in your personality. त्यो चीज rural र ग्रामीण नेपालमा लागू हुँदैन. You have to be a good human being to be liked. So I always tell people, if you want to see relationships, if you want to see family bondings, if you want to see, the true love, come and visit a burn hospital. Because you won't see it in films. And I always tell people the difference is, most of us who live in the cities now, we interact with real people, R-E-E-L. Mm-hmm. I interact with the real people, which is R-E-A-L. Right? And what keeps me going is their bonding, their love, their affection towards family members. And I think चाडो महिना is a nightmare. अब बल्ल शीत लहर सहरको मान्छेलाई के प्रब्लम हुँदो रहेछ भने हेर न शीत लागेर फ्लाइट्स क्यान्सल हुन थाल्यो. Right? They don't understand with that शीत लहर comes the cold. And hundreds of women and men get burnt in Tarai during the शीत लहर किनभने त्यो तातोको लागि they depend on fire. So for us, winter months is a nightmare.
So mostly चुलोहरू बालेर सुत्ने चलन छ. हामी पनि अब यताउति ट्राभल गर्दाखेरि गोठमा किचनमा चुलो बलिरहेको हुन्छ अनि त्यो somehow gets caught and the house gets on fire. Is that what happens?
Yes, one of them. The other one is सहरको मान्छेले एउटा कुरा बुझ्दैन रहेछ के भाइ. Whenever there are infant burn cases, the first reaction a urban Nepali gives is कस्तो आमा हो क्या हेर्नु पर्दैन भनेर. I wish they were lucky like us. घाँस काट्न जानुपर्छ, हलो जोत्न जानुपर्छ. You cannot carry your children everywhere. So त्यो तातोको लागि they leave some kind of a fire in the house and then leave the child. सो जुन कोक्रोमा सुताउने भन्छ, समटाइम्स द कोक्रो क्याचेस फायर, विच इज जस्ट साडीको टुक्रालाई बाँधेर झुलुङ्गो जस्तो बनाउँछ होइन. कहिलेकाहीँ दाउरा उछिटिएर झर्छ, सानो घर हुन्छ, ती लुगा लत्ता ती सबै चिज हुन्छ. सो दिज आर एक्सिडेन्ट्स होइन. अनि त्यसमा पनि के भने द हेल्थ केयर सिस्टम अफ नेपाल, हामीले कम्प्लेन गरौँला होइन, तर आई डोन्ट बिलिभ इन कम्प्लेन्स भाइ, बिकज आई बिलिभ इन फाइन्डिङ अ सोल्युसन. सो यो सबै चिजमा के भने भाइ, मैले भने नि द डिपेन्डेन्सी अन ओपन फायर टु किप देमसेल्भ्स वार्म क्रिएट्स एक्सिडेन्ट्स. रिजन्स माइट बी मल्टिपल होइन. अर्को वान अफ द बिगेस्ट रिजन अफ चाइल्ड बर्न इज हाम्रो ग्रामीण भेगमा एभ्री वान हेज क्याटल, गाई पाल्या हुन्छ, भैँसी पाल्या हुन्छ. जाडो महिनालाई कुँडो, अब यो पनि आई से इट इन अ इङ्ग्लिस टर्म, बेसिकली अ सुप फर द क्याटल होइन, त्यो चाहिन्छ जाडो महिनामा. सो यो चाहिँ ठुल्ठुलो भेसल्सहरूमा उनीहरूले बोइल गर्छ. एन्ड मेनी इन्फेन्ट एक्सिडेन्ट्स ह्यापन एट द पोइन्ट अफ कुँडो. बोक्दाखेरि गोठ गिलो हुन्छ, चिप्लिने सम्भावना हुन्छ, बच्चाहरू अल्झिन्छन् होइन. सो देयर आर मल्टिपल रिजन्स अफ बर्न्स द्याट ह्यापन्स इन रुरल नेपाल.
अनि almost like a huge number of people come to you, right? So यसको सल्युसन कसरी भइरहेछ? जस्तो अब तपाईँले मुगु भन्नुभयो, मुगुबाट 3rd degree बर्न लिएको मान्छे कोही काठमाडौँमा गाडीमा त आइरहेछ होला डेफिनेटली. They can't afford a helicopter or
some of them fly, but most of them come by road.
And then त्यो यहाँ आउनु बेलासम्म सर्भाइभ हुनु नै गाह्रो हुने भयो. अनि लाइक doesn't it add a lot of stress to you because that's not your fault that
I know it is. यस्तो हुँदो रहेछ भाइ. Initial stages ma what you say is right. I've reached a stage where I give it 100%, whatever I can do. So I make sure it is life and death is in no one's hands, right? Otherwise the billionaires in this world wouldn't have died, right? So money is not just the solution. When you don't have money, those cases which can be saved will also die. त्यो चाहिँ प्रब्लम हो होइन. तर एउटा कुरा के हुँदो रहेछ भने भाइ, एज अ फादर, एज अ इन्डिभिजुअल, me and our team believes in one thing, that we have to give back dignity to people. त्यो भनेको के? Imagine walking into a hospital with your child in your hand, whether it's burnt or any other illness, right? In my case, burn cases. पैसा छैन, लुगा छैन, कहाँबाट आएको हो ठेगाना छैन, आइडेन्टिटी कार्ड छैन होइन. So imagine how helpless the parents feel. दुई तरिकाले त्यो पेरेन्ट्सलाई यहाँबाट फिर्ता पठाउन सकिन्छ. एउटा विथ अ गिल्ट, सेइङ मैले केही गर्नै सकिनँ. And I can imagine that father's guilt, being a father myself, right? The other is, मैले सक्दो सबै प्रयास गरेँ तर बचाउन सकिनँ. So my job is to give them that second option, which is, don't worry, हामी छौँ, right? And of course, the medical team, the hospitals, they're very helpful to us, because whatever we contribute, the hospital contributes as well. Otherwise, every poor person burnt in this country would have been dead.
You contribute as in you have a crowdfunding or like a donation?
We have different methods. Some of them come and donate directly to the hospitals, right? We've got a foundation called Easy Healthcare Foundation. Routine of Nepal Band does its CSR with us. So we've got multiple platforms, right? How much is enough? We don't know. Are the people in Nepal kind? Yes, definitely, right? Otherwise, we won't be able to do what we do. Right? तर मेरो fight with the government with acid was at least addressed to a certain point, right? So I usually don't want to speak about acid because it also gives ideas about crime. But then that taught me a lesson. एकजनालाई एसिड पर्यो, अर्कोलाई श्रीमानले केरोसिन खनाएर आगो लगाइदियो. The third one is an accidental burn. Now, I used to go to the same hospital So what I had to say was, acid छ्यापेकोलाई त सरकारले हेर्ने भो नानी bad luck तिमीलाई acid हैन मट्टी तेल खनाएर जलाइदियो so the government doesn't look at you or तिम्रो चाहिँ भान्सामा accident भयो so the government doesn't look at you. So from that day my fight is there has to be a burn treatment fund that has to start in Nepal. अस्ति उर्लाबारीमा एउटा दुर्घटना भयो भाइ. There was a fire in a shutter and an explosion happened. 28 people were injured. They were all brought to Kathmandu. Can you imagine Thapa, Viratnagar, Dharan, this is the developed side of Nepal. त्यहाँ नै उपचार छैन. So now we don't have hospitals, right? Why isn't there any treatment centers across? किनभने most of the medical fraternity already know that the poorest get burnt. पैसा हुँदैन. So मेरो fight is we have to have a burn treatment fund that has to start from the government of Nepal. And it is a very easy, simple method. For example, by you use a vehicle. So you put petrol every time or diesel, right? You have gas cylinders at home for cooking. Would you object if 10 paisa per liter of fuel was to go to a burn treatment fund? Or 1 rupia prati cylinder of gas would go into a burn treatment fund? I don't think there is any citizen in Nepal that would object to it. What will it do? How will it solve the problem? अहिले जुन हाम्रो टिचिङ हस्पिटलहरू छ where doctors are being taught, right? They don't have a burn unit. So we are giving education. अधुरो शिक्षा दिएको कि गरिब जल्छ भनेर उपचार नदिएको is my question. So now, if all these hospitals would know कि जलेको मान्छेको उपचार गर्दा नेपाल सरकारले पैसा तिर्छ भन्यो भने all of them will start a burn unit. So access to medical care will open. Until and unless the access to medical care doesn't open, अहिले के भइराछ भाइ? Approximately 1 lakh people get burnt. Only 2,000 of them reach the hospitals. Where are the rest? They're decaying at home. They're fighting a battle that they cannot win by themselves. 4 महिनासम्म कुहिएको बच्चाहरू ल्याइयो हैन. जुम्लाबाट आफ्नो थर आफ्नो गाउँ भन्न नसक्ने महिलाहरू आए. The amazing part about parenting, I have seen it very closely. दाई बहिनी depending on their age, तपाईको छोराको दुईटै खुट्टा काट्नु पर्छ. किनभने बर्नले भाइ नेपालमा second largest number of handicapped को reason is burns. The first is road accident, right? So with time, when they don't reach the hospital on time, a lot of amputations are हुन्छ. That the parents are fine के भाइ हैन ठीक छ हजुर मेरो छोरा जीवित हुन्छ हैन खुट्टा काटेर केही फरक पर्दैन हात काटेर केही फरक पर्दैन. People might find that very very offensive, but I don't think so. किनभने
the life is at stake.
Life is at stake.
The poor parents don't have a option.
It doesn't have a choice. अनि फेरि अर्को एउटा अचम्म के लाग्छ भने भाइ, when I go to the ghats, of course you go to the ghat when someone near or dear to you dies. A dead body is a piece of meat, right? We're all there. The family is there. The friends are there. The entire circle is there. When someone is burnt alive, no one comes to the hospital. It doesn't make sense to me. The yelling, the shouting, the crying, it's very burn ko kasto cha bhane bhai. Overall, it is a painful thing. And the treatment is equally painful.
How does it work, Khaskar?
Suppose you get burnt. As soon as you're brought into the hospital, basically all the burnt skin is like ताछेरै निकाल्छ खसी नै ताछेको जस्तो, right? And then it is done almost every day, the dressing. Right?
Some sort of
painkillers are given, all that, but then it's got a limitation to that the capacity of painkillers, right? मैले जुन भन्छु नि भाइ, मान्छे कति चाम्रो हुँदो रहेछ भनेर हेर्नलाई पनि बर्न हस्पिटल आउनु. The fight to live is an amazing journey that you see in a burn hospital. Every day of my life, I know someone dies, right? So with so many years, death is become something very, very simple to me, right? Of course, it gives you a pain saying, was there something more I could have done, right? But then that's not what it is about. It is about dignity. It is about painless death sometimes, right? Husband-wife relationships, sometimes I go home and tell my wife, we all claim that we love our partners to the utmost. But then when you see a love bond between someone who's so badly scarred, it sometimes changes my mind, because now love and relationship is about appearance, right? Where we are so over-obsessed that even to go out, your partner has to tell you what to wear, right? So if urban centers would have these burn problems, I don't think there would be any couples that would be intact after the scars. So to the young generation of Nepal, I think you have to understand one thing. We are all attracted to beautiful things. That's part of life. And in English, they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Well, it does. I have seen thousands of cases where I understand that beauty actually lies in the eyes of the beholder. Because, for example, I will not take names. I've never lied to a burn victim, because when you are 17 and you have to remove a breast, right, we kind of form a bond, because I appear out of nowhere and then I try and win their trust. So when someone's breast needs to be removed, or the ears needs to be cut out, or the eyes needs to be taken out, I actually speak to them and I said, Nani, तिम्रो एउटा स्तन काट्नु पर्ने भयो, नभए बाँचिँदैन, या कान काट्नु पर्ने भयो, नभए बाँचिँदैन, या आँखा झिक्नु पर्यो, नभए अर्को आँखा पनि बिग्रिन्छ. I've done it multiple times, right? My bond with them is still intact. And the amazing part is, the breastless girl still has a family. She's given birth after she's discharged out of the hospital. So can you imagine a man who can love his wife without the ears, without the hair, without one eye, and without a breast, and scarred for life? Natural processing of aging, we get wrinkled, right? So what we have today physically, don't be over proud of it. It'll go away with time. The amazing part about scar is it'll never wrinkle. It'll remain intact, right? So you live with it all your life. And a lot of people have problem with these scars. The amazing part is, those who carry the scars don't have a problem with it. So I always tell people, change the way you think. They're fine with it. It's you and me who have a problem. See, it is. With acid survivors, all of them are now employed. Most of them. Right? So, they're not crying over it. हुने कुरा भयो. मैले सिजन भाइ कहिले पनि लाइफमा कसैलाई सिम्पथेटिक कुरै गरेको छैन. किनभने I've never seen them before the accident. So I don't know what they looked like. When they came to me, they were already burnt. So I tell them, it's happened. Bad luck. I learn to live with it. The scars are not going to go away. And through your podcast, I have to tell people, a lot of them tell me, Dai, plastic surgery garaunus na. Can we please get away from this Bollywood myth that the villain walks in and the hero walks out? Plastic surgery ko pani limitations छ, right? जुन देशमा लाइफ बचाउनलाई पैसा छैन, त्यहाँ कस्मेटिकतिर हामी ध्यान दिँदैनौँ, हैन? And neither do the victims have a problem with that, हैन? So यो जर्नी को amazing parts के छ भने भाइ, Sometimes I feel, should I collect about 500 of them and rally on the streets? Right? But that's not the solution. Kinabhane, just because the affluent and the educated have less burn accidents at home because we are better equipped, right? It is us who has to understand कि यो problem छ. It has to become a voice saying यो व्यक्तिहरूले treatment पाउनु पर्छ. You know, when I walk into a hospital in the burn centers, which is teaching hospital मा छ, कान्तिबाल अस्पतालमा छ, पाटना हस्पिटलमा छ, सुषमा कोइराला हस्पिटलमा छ र कीर्तिपुर हस्पिटलमा छ. I see them all bandaged up and everything. There are no complaints. के भयो? The only fear is म बाँच्छु कि बाँच्दिन. They've got no complaints. I walk out and someone who owes a 7 crore rupees car has nothing else but complaints in life. Where are we headed? जुन दिन फायरले एउटा चिज सिकायो के भाइ मलाई. We talk about religion. We talk about ethnicity. We talk about geography. Madesh, Tarai, Pahad. We've got different divisions. One thing amazing about fire is जल्लाई जलाउँदा पनि बराबर जलाउँछ. It doesn't distinguish. The pain is identical, right? The wounds are identical. And then I tell people, if you want to see unity, come and see a burn hospital. शेर्पाको बच्चालाई मधेसको महिलाले हेर्दिन्छ. मधेसको बच्चालाई शेर्पाको आमाले हेर्दिन्छ. किनभने बर्नको treatments are very long. You know, if someone comes with, like for example, the Dailekko child who's with us right now, he's been with us for almost 6 months. There is an electrocution case that has been with us for 4.5 months. So 4.5 months in a hospital with a burnt child.
Burned with through electrocution.
Yes. यहाँ त यस्तो पनि छ भाइ, in rural Nepal, विद्युत प्राधिकरण या जसले त्यो केबल्सहरू ले गर्छ, imagine the height of a high tension wire that a 9-year-old child can actually catch it. Some of them go through trees. So घाँस काट्न जाँदाखेरि people get electrocuted. Electric burn is one of the worst things, especially high voltage burns, right? हातको amputation, खुट्टाको amputation. अहिले through your podcast, I have to thank one doctor from Dolpa, right? He's following me on Twitter, right? So there was an electrocution case just 3 weeks ago. So he sent me a message saying there's an electrocution case coming. We asked for photographs. I made the doctors, burn hospital doctors from here talk to him. So he did the first aid there. He organized the plane fare and the ticket to send them to Kathmandu, send her to Kathmandu. So she's a 9-year-old child. When you see the initial pictures, it's nothing. Right now, she's already lost a few fingers. She's in a stage where we might have to amputate her hand, right? But then there are very few doctors who are like him, right? Who took it upon himself to make sure that she reaches a burn hospital. I went to Bidyut Pradhikaran, and rarely do they accept their fault, but in this case, they're providing her the treatment fund, right? Why is it happening? It's because a doctor there thought it's his social responsibility to do it. I think it is my social responsibility to do it. So if more and more people who have the reach talk about it, Malaita bhai, it is amazing. When acid crimes were happening, name it, every person who was in the beauty world were at the hospital, right? That time I realized one thing. They walked into a room where an acid survivor was there, but never turned around and looked at the other burn survivors. The acid case stopped. None of the beauty industry speaks about burns. Then I realized it's not from within, it's the publicity, right? People talk to me about making documentaries about acid attack or films. I always tell them it's not something about entertainment. It's much, much painful than anyone can imagine, right? So I have my own grievances, right? The real people never talk about the real problems, right? Until and unless there is a reach that might come out of it. Okay. It is a journey that is, how do you call it? Full of compassion. I've got relationships with people all across Nepal. Right? I was sitting with a friend just a couple of days ago, this woman from Jumla, and I have to tell you this incident. A woman from Jumla came in with a 6-month-old burnt child. We amputated both the hands and both the legs. 12 days later, the child died. Right? When I went home, I could not forget that woman because of her innocence. She actually did not even know where she was from. Right? In Jumla, she did take a name. It didn't make sense to me. And then a bhai who's with RONB, I called him and I said, let's go and find this lady. So we went to the hospital. There was a number there. So we called the number. And someone from Jumla picked up and said, Tai maya Kirtipurma baschu. I said, yo mahila chinnu huncha? He said, चिन्याछु. Where is she? With me. अनि भाइ घर जानु भएको छैन, कसरी पठाउँ सर, पैसै छैन. Imagine she somehow reached Kathmandu with the burnt child. The child is dead. She doesn't have money to go back home. So I told the bhai, I actually requested a friend and a cousin saying, Malai ticket deuna duita Jumla airport sammako free ma. He said, huncha. So he gave me a ticket for her. And then to RONB ko bhai ra ma, we went to Kirtipur. This lady, when she saw me, did namaste, and her eyes were filled with tears. I said, Baini, मैले छोरा बचाउन सकिन हैन, यो टिकट ल्याइदिएछु तपाईलाई घर जान. And then we looked behind and there was a toy shop behind. I saw a teddy bear. So I told that bhai, your teddy bear किनेर ल्याउन. And I gave her a teddy bear. The way she held that teddy bear made it a campaign for me. Because she came with something in her hand, bhai. The child died. That teddy bear was a companion to her to go back home. So from that day, anyone who loses an infant child, I give them a teddy bear to make sure that there is something they can hold on to when they go back. कहाँ जाने त्यो महिलाहरू, कसलाई भन्न जाने यो देशमा, हैन? But I'm fortunate by a lot of people support me in terms of flight tickets, in terms of finances for treatment. Right? The hospitals are extremely kind to me because they know yo khushkiya manche ho kya. He's doing it for nothing, right? And I think my empathy moved to them as well, right? So I've got by multiple stories. And when someone like you call me, it is my pleasure that your listeners, especially the urban listeners, must understand हामी कति लकी छौं के, कति complain गरे. अहिले there is a new problem in Kathmandu bhai that I think your listeners must know is हामी घरै पछि अहिले EV किनिरा छौं, electric vehicles, different brands, 4-wheelers, 2-wheelers, all that. These are filled with lithium batteries, right? The United States, the British government, and governments across the globe are still trying to figure out lithium battery, if it catches fire, कसरी extinguish गर्ने भनेर. There's research work going on. So I might be looking at a newer side of fire now, which is the EV. हामी मजाले रातभरि चार्जमा छोडेर कोठामा गएर सुत्छौँ. मोबाइल फोनमा एउटा सानो lithium battery छ. What do they tell you? Please do not charge your phone while you sleep. Be attentive. अनि हामी कहाँ 18वटा लार्ज साइज लिथियम ब्याट्रिज भएको vehicle चाहिँ हामी रातभरि चार्जमा सोचेर मस्त सुत्छौँ. त्यो पनि के गर्छौँ भाइ? At the entrance of the house. The first thing about buying an EV is do not charge your cars or your scooters at the entrance of your house, because if it does catch fire, your exit is blocked. Right? अहिले हालसालै एउटा vehicle fire समात्यो भन्यो, but when I went through the details, I think त्यो चाहिँ vehicle को problem थिएन. The way it was charged was wrong. So the tire and the paint and the rest of the interiors caught fire, but the battery was safe.
Okay.
मेरो interest, when the police said electric vehicle मा आगो लाग्यो हामीले निभायौँ. Lithium battery को आगो निभाउन सकिँदैन भाइ. पानी doesn't work, extinguisher doesn't work.
Okay.
अब केले निभाउने? So the government of Nepal को कसैले यो podcast सुन्नुभयो भने EV vehicle or scooter sellers लाई please tell them कि awareness पनि सँगसँगै दिनुस् as to what you're not supposed to do, right? And मेरो जानकारी अनुसार, if a EV vehicle catches fire, there's only one thing you can do: let it burn and get away. Right? There's nothing you can do. हामी कहाँ त्यसलाई निभाउने केही चिज आएकै छैन. अर्को भाइ, like where we are sitting, see the lanes and by lanes and gullies and everything. भाइ यहाँबाट निक्लिँदा गर्नु 100वटा ग्यास पसल भाइले देख्छौ. कुनै ग्यास पसलमा फायर एक्सटिङ्ग्विसर छैन. हैन? नगरपालिकाको अग्नि प्रकोपको तयारी शून्य छ. हामी इन्टरनेसनल एयरपोर्ट्स बनाउँछौँ भाइ. पोखरा had that unfortunate accident of an airlines where it caught fire. त्यो दिन मैले एउटा चिज सोचेको थिएँ कि भाइ, आगो लागेको प्लेनलाई निभाउन त दमकल ल्याउला, जलेर निक्लेको यात्रुलाई कहाँ लाने? पोखरा doesn't have a burn hospital.
कतिवटा छ यो? लाइक ओन्ली काठमाडौँ है?
Only काठमाडौँ.
कतिवटा छ?
5वटा. For a population of 3 crores, 1 लाख मान्छे जल्ने देशमा 80वटा बेड छ.
All in Kathmandu.
All in Kathmandu. अन्त कहीँ पनि छैन.
कुन कुन हो हस्पिटल?
Teaching Hospital Maharajganj has 9 beds. Kanti Bal Aspatal has 22 children bed. Patan Hospital has 5 beds. Yo tinta government ko. Okay. Then Kirtipur Burn Hospital has 30 beds.
It's a burn specific hospital.
No, it's a general hospital with a burn unit.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah.
I know where it is. I think we met there also.
Yes. And Tolapati. And one is at Sakhu, which is Sushma Koirala Memorial Hospital. That is got 20 beds. So overall, in a population of 3 crores, अब जस्तो अस्ति भनौँ न उर्लाबारीमा भएको दुर्घटनामा 25 जना काठमाडौँ ल्याउँदा कोलाहल. Can you imagine if there's a major fire calamity in the lanes and by lanes of Kathmandu? छँदै छैन के भाइ केही पनि. हामी कहाँ पार्टी प्यालेसेस हेर, we all go there. Right? म चाहिँ यो फायरमा काम गर्ने भएर होला, I look around for fire extinguishers. I don't see it. कतिपय गल्लीमा छन् जहाँ फायर ब्रिगेडै छिर्दैन. इराकमा in September 2023, there was a photo shoot going on. अनि त्यो हामी गमला भन्छ, I don't know what you call that in English, त्यो झारेर गर्ने हैन. One of them put it on for a nice photo shoot. The party palace caught fire. 105 people were burnt alive within minutes. Sure. Why? Because decoratives are all, the cheapest thing possible, right? Even the construction is focused on the beauty, not on fire safety, right? त्यस्तै हामी कहाँ हस्पिटल्सहरू छन्. They don't have a fire exit. Why do hospital need fire exit? is जहिले पनि oxygen हुन्छ. होइन? You cannot open a mall, you cannot open a hotel, you cannot open anything across the globe if you don't have a fire safety manager. Right? हामी कहाँ त त्यो धेरै टाढाको कुरा. दमकल किन्छौँ किनभने कमिसन आउँछ. अस्पताल बनाउँदैनौँ किनभने खर्च हुन्छ. हामी कति बुद्धिमानी छौँ भने भाइ, आग लागि हुन्छ भन्ने हामी सबैलाई थाहा छ. त्यनाले गाउँपालिका, नगरपालिका, एयरपोर्ट जहाँ जाऊ दमकल छ. अनि आगोले मान्छे पोल्छ भन्ने चाहिँ बुद्धि छैन. हैन, त्यो किन थाहा छ? वी आर ओभर obsessed with wealth. हामीले संरचना बचाउने, घर बचाउने, प्लेन बचाउने चाहिँ सोच्छौँ, मान्छे बचाउने सोच्दैनौँ. हैन. सो यो मल्टिपल फ्यासेट्समा मेरो काम के भाइ? If I see something, I speak about it. I don't care a damn whether someone likes it or doesn't like it. Right? Politicians. I've got very few things to say about it. But यो टपिक चाहिँ उनीहरूको कुनै पनि पोलिटिकल पार्टी या लिडरसिपको मस्तिष्कमै छैन. अहिले दुईजना चाहिँ हुनुहुन्छ भाइ. एउटा चन्द्र भण्डारीजी, he got burnt with gas, is नेपाली कांग्रेसको सांसद हैन. अनि अर्को बिन्दवासिनी कंसाकार, who is a acid attack survivor, she is a सांसद from स्वतन्त्र पार्टी. So these are two people who've actually personally faced the pain of burn, and I hear both of them sometimes speak about it, but it is not become an agenda in the parliament. So it's a long way to go.
So what do you see as a solution there?
I think first and foremost,
talking about it, like we have talked about so many things here, but hardly anything takes action.
होइन, यस्तो छ भाइ. For example, if your house is next to a petrol pump, you call yourself educated. It is your right to also go and ask तपाईंका fire safety के गर्नु भएको छ. It is your right to go and complain to the local bodies. हामी we don't के भाइ, because we are over obsessed with ourselves. If I close my door and if my room is hot and my food is ready and my bed is warm, त्यो बाँकी मेरो प्रब्लमै होइन. जुन दिन भोग्नु पर्छ नि भाइ, that day you realize यो प्रब्लम त मेरो पनि रहेछ हैन. फर इक्जाम्पल म मान्छेलाई के भन्छु भने, enjoy your birthdays, enjoy your anniversaries, enjoy whatever occasions you have in life. त्यो सेलिब्रेसनमा 2-4 रुपैयाँ, if you keep it aside for the unfortunate people, right? Because मैले त एउटा कुरा के भन्छु भने भाइ, गभर्नमेन्टले गर्दैन, हामी त गरिरहेछौँ नि त. I cannot say I won't do it. किनभने the agony and pain of these people are beyond humanity. This is inhuman. Okay, bhai. So a lot of them come and help us. I'm not saying you have to do it for burns. Do it for anything. I think if some of us go out and buy a jacket for an old person who's in this winter, that's a good enough social work. Right? We've changed the way we dress. We've changed the way we talk. Right? But if you talk to me, I was born in Kamal Pokhari. Right? Kathmandu was not like this. There was poverty here, extreme poverty. Right? किनभने यो पनि त गाउँ नै थियो हैन. तर के भने एक आपसको साथ र सहयोगले यो शहर र देश चलेको थियो. अहिले we become too self-centric. हैन. हामी we look for popularism in everything. We very emotional people. त्यो किनभने I think human touch बिर्स्यो. अब if you ask me, the most affluent schools of Kathmandu, हैन, जहाँ हामी भनौँ न सबै ठुला बडाका छोराछोरी पढ्छौँ भन्छन्, त्यहाँ फायर ड्रिल भएको आजसम्म मलाई थाहा छैन.
फेरि बाहिरतिर त जुन बिल्डिङमा नि कम्पल्सरी छ, होटल्समा आई थिंक
कम्पल्सरी
फायर मास्क देखि लिएर एभ्रिथिङ इज
कम्पल्सरी हैन. अब हामी कहाँ कलेजेसमा छैन, स्कुल्समा छैन हैन. आई हेभ टक टु पेरेन्ट्स, खै दाइ त्यो नेसेसरी छ र भन्छ हैन. किनभने we've taken it for granted. मैले भने नि भाइ, हजारौं मान्छे भेट्दा एउटा सेन्टेन्स चाहिँ सेम हुन्छ. दाइ मलाई होला भनेर त चिताएकै थिएन भनेर हैन फेरि अर्को एउटा पार्ट के पनि हो भने भाइ हामी आई थिंक वी आर टू ओभर obsessed with physical appearance के भाइ हाम्रो होल सोसाइटी people call AI artificial intelligence मेरो चाहिँ भर्जन बेग्लै छ भाइ I call it AI but artificial ignorance we bloody ignorant about 90% of things in life तर हामी किताबमा पढेका छौं हामीले विश्व घुमेका छौं so we supposed to know everything that's not what it is bhai right everyone you talk to is horror for half the things which is Nepal right अब it's a fashion अहिले ढिँडो खाने हैन यो खाने त्यो दुई छाक ढिँडो खान नपाउने मान्छे कति छन् आई विश पीपल वुड अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड हैन सो यो चीजमा भाइ मेरो चाहिँ भनाइ के छ भने फर ऑल दोज हु लिसन टु यु it is time we talk about awareness of burns. And it can happen to anyone, anywhere. When you choose a gas cylinder, when you choose a pipe to join your gas cylinder, don't focus on the design of your kitchen. Focus on the safety. If you've got small children at home, please stop using tablecloth. Start loving your children more than your furniture, Bansu Bhai, kinabhane टडलर्सहरु भएको घरमा मोस्ट अफ द बर्न्स एक्सिडेन्ट ह्यापन बिकज त्यो कपडा समातेर उभिन खोज्छ के बच्चा एन्ड एनीथिङ द्याट इज हट अन टप स्पिल्स अन देम अर्को सिम्पल थिङ्स लाइक फर इक्जाम्पल इफ यु आर कुकिङ इन द किचन राइट डु नट क्यारी योर चिल्ड्रन डु नट युज योर मोबाइल फोन्स वाइल यु आर कुकिङ राइट when you are cooking make sure the handle of your pot is diagonal to the station not coming out of your gas ko chulo because त्यही handle मा आफ्नो हातले लागेर धेरै जना जलेका छन् हैन if you are having coffee tea or anything hot please do not carry your children at that time किनभने children चकचके हुन्छ हातले हिर्काइदिएर कफी पोखिन्छ या चिया पोखिन्छ and the biggest nightmare is two things don't go together alcohol and fire. So under the influence of alcohol, please do not sit around heaters or bonfires. It's a nightmare. Right? So these are simple things. But then I wish people who think they're very popular in this world would speak a few lines to make more people aware. Right? मैले भने नि मलाई त हुँदैन सबैले त्यही भन्छ के भाइ किनभने if accidents would come with an appointment it would be very easy to handle हैन I can, there's so many things. For example, urban centers ma aile bhai gas ko explosion harko case badha cha. So we have to be careful about the pipes, right? The regulators. Hamro hareक household ma cha. हामी घर बनाउँछौं 5 करोडको भाइ अनि बत्तीको तार चाहिँ सस्तो खोज्छौं. That is one of the biggest cause of fire in urban centers, electrification. So when you're building a house, focus more on your electric wires.
The the
fire
flammable,
safety. त्यो पनि हैन छ तर यस्तो हो भाइ for example all of us have laptops. All of us have mobile phones. Extension cord is a nightmare for fire. हैन especially when it is plugging in high voltage things. Right? हाम्रो त म कति जना कजन्सहरुको घर जाँदा I make sure that I go to teenage को rooms के भाइ you'll have 6 things plugged into extension wire right that is one of the biggest cause. The other is taking a wire under the carpet किनभने अल्झिन्छ भनेर we'll put the wire so every time you walk on it there is a evasion in the wire and God knows which day it might be a bad day right gas heaters or electric heaters. A lot of people, those who have pets, they tend to leave the heater on with the pet. Right? Pet janavar ho. Maya jati sukai garau, tara its sense is slightly less than us. Right? The animal right activist might disagree to me, but त्यो heater लडाइदिएर अनेकौं आग लागि भएका छन्. Because the dog just walked, the heater fell down, right? Very, very small things. And you don't need big things in life. Right? I've had a case where someone was smoking some kind of a bong or whatever you call that, and someone told her that if you put petrol inside the bong rather than water, it'll give you ultra high. So she came to the hospital with a blown up face and she died.
Oh, fuck,
right.
man. Oh, shit.
Okay. And then I've had people who've sniffing denrite and smoking. Right. I've had people where hair, what do you call that? The hairspray and the hair dryer on at the same time. It's an inflammable thing. Right. I've had girls being burnt because they were spraying perfume while they were hair drying. Perfume is inflammable. I've had people who've got candles on their birthday parties with the spray going and burnt badly because that's inflammable.
We've seen those videos, yeah.
So it's just small things. Right?
कतिवटा आउँछ त दिनमा?
On an average, hospital ma chahi during winters we get much more. First aid and OPD patients, जुन चाहिँ सान्तिनो burns हुन्छ, त्यो त maximum आउँछ. On an average, we have about 2 deaths a day in Kathmandu, in the hospitals. Right.
And you're aware of what's happening most of the time?
Yes, I am. I get an update from the hospital every time. Right. So my family hates my phone on at night because you do get these terrible images. Right.
You just showed me. हामी podcast गर्न अगाडि दाइले मलाई एकचोटि सरर देखाउनु भएको थियो. I'm pretty sure we can't show it होला.
Well,
we can't show it होला, but yeah, man.
I've sent you a few happy images about people who get healed.
There's a boy जसको ज्यानभरि गोबर लाएर 5-7 उम्रिरहेछ. That happened because he was गाउँमा घरमा burn भयो भने.
Oh, there's 2-3 things. 2-3 things I have to say it. I forgot that. Thank you for reminding me. यो गोबर दल्यो भने शीतल हुन्छ रे भन्ने परम्परागत सोच. ओके. मैले कतिवटासँग झगडा के गरेको छु भने म मेडिकल स्टाफ त होइन, तर गाईको होस् या जनावरको होस् या मान्छेको होस्, घाउमा गु दल्नु हुँदैन भन्ने ज्ञान मलाई छ. हैन. अर्को इज हाउ डु पिपल डाई आउट अफ बर्न्स. आगलागी भएपछि गर्ने के नै मान्छेलाई थाहा छैन. राइट. So if someone was to get burnt, right, the first thing you do is जुन part जलेको छ, keep it under running water for 15 minutes. Don't rush him to the hospital.
Okay.
When you
is it like, I think it's something similar with acid attacks also.
Yes. It is just cleansing it.
Yeah. So acid attack भयो भने running water राखेर 5-10 मिनेट राख्यो that I think
dilutes it.
Dilutes it to a very
yes, and even with burn cases, if you're burnt with oil, if you're burnt with hot cup of tea or whatever, keep that part under running tap water for 15 minutes. Do not apply any cream, any golveda, anything. Just normal running water ma 15 minutes rakhepachi the wound doesn't deepen. Right? And then you stop burning, then you go to the hospital.
Okay.
Right. Don't put anything. Just cover it with a piece of cloth so that dhulo natasios ya phor natasios. Right. The other part is when you burn, your body temperature goes up. So you lose a lot of fluid.
Okay.
So it is very important to hydrate people. नेपालमा जलेपछि पानी खान दिनु हुँदैन भन्ने परम्परागत सोच रहेछ. So what happens is when they are transported to the hospital, they're already under severe renal problem, kidney problem, because they're dehydrated, right? So urine output of a burn patient is very, very important to keep track of. So you have to keep hydrating them. So simple things like running water ma wound lai rakhne, hydrate garne, and not applying anything is a savior by itself. So these are small things. Now we've got a foundation called Easy Healthcare Foundation. So we've just signed up with the police. We'll be traveling to different schools, colleges about fire awareness and this. And more than anything else, I think the schools must also come up with a curriculum where they're taught. So we asking the government of Nepal, हामी सबै चिज शिक्षामा दिन्छौँ. The basic thing is we all need to cook in our lives, especially with nucleus families like us, right? We all need to cook. Kitchen safety नै सिकाउँदैनौँ, fire safety सिकाउँदैनौँ. So hopefully in a few, I don't give up by. I don't give up easily. Through your podcast, I'll tell you, I'll make sure that before the next election, there will be a burn treatment fund in Nepal. It doesn't matter what it takes, because I think it is the right of these people to receive treatment. Right? I'll tell you something that I'm looking for an answer all the time. कसैको घर तलदेखि माथिसम्म पुरै जल्यो, जसमा मान्छे पनि पर्यो. त्यो सर्वस्व जल्या मान्छेले पैसा कहाँबाट ल्याउने? You tell him, हस्पिटल आएपछि डिपोजिट गर्नुस्, आफ्नो आइडेन्टिटी कार्ड ल्याउनुस्. घर छैन, सबै जल्यो. And he's supposed to come up with money, right? So for me, it is very, very important that the government of Nepal has to come up with a burn treatment fund. भोलि म पनि पर्न सक्छु. My family has to be secured. If there is a fire incident and if we rush him to a hospital, the treatment will start, right? Life and death is in no one's hands.
And you've showed me fine examples of people who look dead, man, sorry to say, but they look like it's like a dead body. Just at 6 months पछि,
oh, they're beautiful children.
Yeah.
हुन्छ. यो त के भने I call it जुन हामी कहाँ भनिन्छ नि, war atrocities. These are atrocities at peacetime. You don't have to go to war to create war crimes.
1 lakh people,
1 lakh people
getting burned every year is something that I would never have thought.
See, for example, it's a universal problem. If you look at US, about 500,000 people get burnt every year, right? But then there is no huge outcry of pain and agony because they receive treatment, right? 40% burn in US would cost you about $1 million for treatment. Here it's about $1 million rupees, and we still can't provide it. Hami bhai, we talk about, Vidyut Paradygm making so much of money and Nepal Gas making so much of the gas companies. I don't care. They're not doing their social responsibility. हामी बुढी गण्डकीलाई 10 रुपैयाँ छुट्याउँछौँ भाउ. Fuel and बुढी गण्डकी have nothing to do with each other. Fuel and burn is directly related. हामी 10 रुपैयाँ प्रति लिटर चाहिँ जलविद्युत बनाउन लिन्छौँ, तर जलेको मान्छेलाई उपचार गर्न 0. So I said there has to be a change, right? And this is not a political issue or anything. This is a inhuman part of Nepal. Right.
Since it's a policy change, politically, if someone does not have any kind of benefit, next election ko naparni ho ki
हैन, तर यस्तो छ भाइ, I have a privilege. Very few people have this privilege. कुनै पनि नेता छैन जसको गाउँमा मान्छे जलेपछि मलाई फोन गर्दैन. मैले गाली गर्न पाउने privilege चाहिँ छ. Right? I will not take names, but I tell them, आउनुस्, बच्चाको खुट्टा काट्नु छ, बच्चाको हात काट्नु छ, तपाईलाई चिन्या छ रे, तपाईकै पार्टीको हो रे, आउनुस् भन्दाखेरि उज्जवलजी तपाईलाई त थाहा छ नि हामी सांसदको के न छ र भन्छ. हो, यही कुरा टेलिभिजनमा बोल्दिनुस् न. टेलिभिजनमा ठुलठुलो गफ दिनुहुन्छ, रियालिटी त मैले नि बुझ्या छु. यति सत्य कुरा बाहिरै बोल्दिनु भयो भने हैन, this country will start improving. So it is something I think I almost for last 10-12 years I think I know almost every politician. किनभने it's a universal problem. सबैको गाउँमा मान्छे जल्छ, right? So यो कस्तो भने it is about all of us making a noise. Like as you said, मलाई थाहा थिएन. I go to someone else, they say मलाई थाहा थिएन. But now that we know, if we start raising a voice, right, that this is inhuman. Like I showed you a few photos. Can you imagine being a father of that child, right? Or a brother of that child, or an uncle of that child, right? कति सोझो छ नेपाली भने भाइ, भुइँमा बसेर हात जोड्छ के, लौ न हजुर गरिदिनु पर्यो. म भावे छेउको एटिएम फुटाएर ल्याउँथे, कन्सिक्वेन्स पछि देखा जाएगा, हैन, रियालिटी, राइट? अनि त्यो नेपाली सोझोलाई कतिन्जेल हेप्ने भाइ. And the most amazing part is the affluent and the educated people of Nepal keep saying, यहाँ के हुँदै हुँदैन यार. My question to you is, यहाँले गर्नु भएको चाहिँ के छ आफूले? सबै अरूले गरिदिनु पर्ने. अनि we should have a city like Singapore or education system like Harvard or whatever. I know. So यो change आउँछ भाइ. यो कसरी आउँछ भने, I think, like, I'm sure hundreds and hundreds of people will listen to us talk.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
At least the 100 people will know.
And please, म तल उज्जवल दाइको social media or any number ta हैन, social media link, or I'll keep something if anyone wants to get involved. कसैलाई राम्रो idea छ. This is gonna be heard throughout the world now. If anyone has any kind of ideas, so please.
That'll be a big help for us. I know. एउटा के हुँदो रहेछ भने भाइ, everyone sharing a message is good enough. Maybe we don't have the finances to help. Right? Someone might have the knowledge. Someone might be a doctor in US who can help with kind. Right? यहाँ कतिपय children bandages छ जुन हामी पाउँदैनौँ. Right? We have friends and family who support it from overseas. Someone might be able to help financially. Someone can just share a awareness video, right? That would also reach out to many people. Right?
Do we have some sort of तपाईले के बनाउनु भएको छ?
We still building it, but I'll send you a few things.
Please.
And, yeah. And
एउटा question with them curious boy. So since you guys are having a fund of हुन्छ नि, you have a choice of helping people, right? तर त्यो choice difficult हुँदैन when there are so many people coming here and the finances are, I'm pretty sure, very scarce.
Yes.
So how do you be resourceful about this? Like यसलाई help गरौँ कि यसलाई अलिकति त्यो
यस्तो हुन्छ भाइ,
judgment गर्नुलाई?
I think that is one of the most difficult part of this journey. Firstly, there are three people. We judge जुन कुरुवाहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूको. I have my own system of judgment. Number one is the phone that they carry. If you can carry a 1 lakh ko phone, and if your child is burnt, I tell them go and sell your phone. Right? If you're wearing ornaments, if you're wearing this, first we judge by the physical appearance. Then comes the medical aspect of it, where the doctors will say, उहाँहरूको सम्भावना छ कि छैन बाँच्ने. Right? And then, of course, for me, my first preference is children. That's my personal, nothing to do with the medical side. I think when a child is burnt, there are multiple things, because he can be scarred for life, handicapped for life, right? And then comes women, and then comes the adults. So त्यो सबैभन्दा गाह्रो part in the judgment, as you said, अब कसलाई गर्ने कसलाई नगर्ने, सबै गरिब जलेर आउँछन्, is कसैलाई हामीले काउन्सिलिङबाटै हेल्प गर्न सक्छौँ, those who don't need financial, हैन. त्यो कस्तो हुन्छ भने भाइ, इग्नोरेन्स, थाहा नै हुँदैन कि अब के हुन्छ भन्ने, हैन. सो कसैलाई हामी अँगालो मारेर हेल्प गर्छौँ, कसैलाई औषधि किनेर गर्छौँ, कसैलाई खानाको पैसा मात्रै दिएर हेर्छौँ, हैन. And in certain cases, we also have personal bondings that happen. I'll tell you, we are all human beings. Just recently, there was a kid from Jeetpur, okay, 35% burnt, which is like extreme burn. The child never cried. She would be smiling all the time, right? And then I told my friends, मैले कतै कतै सुनेको थिएँ, कुनै कुनै मान्छेमा दैविक शक्ति हुन्छ भनेर, हैन. I said one of them is her. Can you imagine, more than 1/3 of your body is completely burnt by 2nd degree deep burn, but you never cry. You smile all the time. So in those cases, I pamper them an extra bit more with chocolates and biscuits from my personal side, right? So यो त कस्तो हुन्छ भने भाइ, it is era. Whether you go for a job or whether you go anywhere, your soft, the soft side of you is first judged. The way you talk, the way you smile, it also happens in a hospital when people ask for help, right? There are 90% of it is only depending on one thing. Can we save this person's life medically? And then it's worth investing, right? Because तिमीले भने जस्तो सबै जलेकोमा लाइफ बचाउन is the number one priority, and that is, I think, the toughest part of the job.
I think by now you also have a clear idea of what to do.
Yes, I am an uneducated burn doctor by now.
Emotions त सब खतम भइसक्यो होला.
त्यो चाहिँ हैन त्यही पनि हुन्छ भाइ. When one thing I cannot face is a young mother who loses a child. I've never been able to overcome that one particular.
I still I shed tears every time that I have to get closer to someone.
That is one thing. But I must, as a man, also say one thing. ममताको घानी आमा ममताको यो भन्ने हैन, that is all nice. तर that tear-filled eyes of a father, he can't even cry. किनभने हाम्रो देशमा पुरुषलाई चाहिँ अलि भनौँ न माचोइजम देखाउनु पर्ने प्रब्लम छ. But then through their eyes I can see the pain that is so immense, right? And I think I relate to that much more because I'm a father, right? But then, it's losing a young child, especially for the first-time parents, is one part of emotion that I think I can never get over within my life. त्यो चाहिँ सकिँदैन रहेछ के भाइ. You just turn the other side and tear up. त्यति मात्रै हो.
I mean, I've sat with you अगाडि पनि स्टोरिजहरू सुनेको छ हैन. It's endless, man. Like कस्तो किसिमको इमोसन्सको. So how do you deal with it, and also how do you deal with it, and also how do these people, maybe some are actually very concerned about BT, which is not a bad thing, I think. उनीहरूलाई नि पोस्ट यो अपरेसन पोस्ट इभेन्ट ट्रमा हुन्छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ हाउ डु दे ओभरकम?
इट इज भेरी भेरी डिफिकल्ट भाइ. किनभने देयर आर केसेस फ्रम फार फेस्ट नेपाल जहाँ वान्स दे गो ब्याक फर्गेट काउन्सिलिङ एउटा स्वास्थ्य चौकी पनि हुँदैन होइन. सम अफ देम डु कल मी. Some of them get in touch with me. Some of them follow me on Facebook.
Because I'm pretty sure when they go back, they are looked in a very concerned way, or like माया गरेर हेरे कि घिन लाएर हेरे कि त्यस्तो हेरे कि भनेर अलिकति पढिरहन्छ.
त्यो पनि इट्स अ अर्बन प्रब्लम भाइ. मेनली गाउँघरमा हुन्छ भाइ. तर कस्तो भने once they know it's an accident, होइन, they more फेरि कस्तो हुन्छ भने you meet the same people all the time गाउँमा होइन. सहरमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने नयाँ मान्छे भेटिरहन्छ. सो दे किप स्टेयरिङ, राइट. सो आई हेभ वान डेफिनेसन द्याट आई अलवेज गिभ गर्ल्स वेन दे लिभ द हस्पिटल विथ अ स्कार. दे भेरी अनह्याप्पी. सो आई अलवेज टेल देम, इफ अ मिस नेपाल वक्स अन द स्ट्रिट, पिपल स्टेयर एट हर. वाइ? द ब्युटी. पिपल स्टेयर एट यु. वाइ? स्कार. And I said, if I make both of you stand together, I know the scar will win. So you better than Miss Nepal, and I send them home. Kinavani, it's about drawing attention. Right? How negatively do you take it is the question. Right? फेरि एउटा चीज के हुँदो रहेछ भने भाइ, men are very forgiving, even in crimes. Women are not. Like I've dealt with acid survivors who are men. If you ask them, भाइ तँलाई एसिड छापे मान्छे कहाँ जासुकै जाओस् त, कसले त्यसको टाउको दुखाएर नि भनेर is forgiven. A girl will never forgive. Right? So we've got different aspects of life. मैले भने नि I deal, people ask me, do you watch cinema? I said yes, about 20 of them every day. But the real ones. Right? The real को मन पर्दैन भाइ. So I don't watch किनभने I don't see those emotions there. Right? We've had people who said, दाइ मेरो श्रीमती बरु मरोस्, यस्तो कुरूप भएको छ होइन. I've had grandparents break down and say, let my grandson die, I can't take this anymore. त्यो चाहिँ it's the pain and the agony, the yelling होइन. But then my job is to tell them, होइन, they'll be fine. Right? It's not I talk the truth all the time. Right? And one thing that I've never understood in my life is somehow the mothers will know before the doctors that a child is going to die. I faced it number of times. when I'm not a medical person, but I'm used to seeing them. They look fine. The medical chart shows they're stable. But the mother walks out of the ward and tells me, Hazur, mero chori marni bha. And next morning she's dead. Right? Multiple times.
Goosebumps,
right? So, त्यो sense of motherhood or sense of parenting, I've seen it, I've felt it, And sometimes I, feel so sorry that कहिले काहीँ के हुन्छ भने भाइ यो केस चाहिँ अलि अगाडि ल्याउनु पाए या इफ देयर वाज समथिङ वी कुड हैव डन भन्ने मलाई पनि गिल्ट हुन्छ नहुने होइन हैन किनभने they related to me by burns. I always say I've got two things, family, friends, and social circle. But I have a relationship that was built because of different things. And then I've got multiple relationships with burnt people. And the relationship started because of the burn, right? So I'm one of the lucky people who get about 1,000 messages on Pauko Mukherne Din, right? Not many people get that, right? I've got people who call me from Jumla, Humla, all across Nepal, right? Just to ask me one thing. Dai tapailai ta thik cha hai? People talk about by corruption and imandarita and all that. मैले दिएको पैसा भाइ, thousands of them have returned it back to me saying, दाइ तपाईले दिएको 1200 बाँकी छ, 1500 बाँकी छ, यो राख्नुस् दाइ, हामी जस्तै अर्को कोही गरिब आउँदा काम लाग्छ. They've asked me, दाइ यो 3600 रुपैयाँ छ, यो राख्नुस्, यो 300 रुपैयाँ चाहिँ मलाई दिनुस्, म ट्रक चढेर सरलाई जान्छु. आइसिर किन भाइ ट्रक चढेर? होइन दाइ, म पहिला पनि ट्रकै चढ्थेँ, तपाईले फ्रीमा दिँदैमा बस चढ्ने होइन. I've had people जसले हस्पिटलको बिल तिर्न जाँदाखेरि दे टु भनौँ न इन्फेन्टको त आमा र बुवा दुइटै आएको हुन्छ. And then when you pay the bill, you look at it and you say, यार 2 छाक खाना मात्रै every day छ क्या. So of course for people like us, बिहान एकचोटि बेलुका एकचोटि खान्छ. So I thought they didn't understand किनभने मधेसको हुनुहुन्थ्यो. So I went and asked them, तपाईहरुले खाना खानु भएन? खाएँ हजुर. अनि 2 जनाले खानु भएन भने खाएँ हजुर. अनि यहाँ त दिनको 2टा खाना मात्रै छ त 4 वटा हुनुपर्ने नि. हैन हजुर, हामी गरिब मान्छे हो, घरमा पनि 1 छाकै खान्छौं, फ्रीमा पाउँदैमा 2 छाक खाँदैनौं हजुर भन्यो के. हैन. And I wonder जोसँग छ, it is never enough, right? And they're never grateful. जोसँग छैन, that is why I think the political system of Nepal is having a ride, because of their innocence, because of their imandarita, right? They're very, very, very simple people that come by. There was a case where we went and कति 4 वर्ष जति अगाडि, I had never seen a man dressed like that, सुदूर पश्चिमबाट आएको, right? And I asked him, दाइ कहाँबाट आउनु भएको भनेको, मोगुको सोरु गाउँपालिकाको so and so ठाउँबाट. So I wanted to know which stage is this man in. So I asked him 4 years ago, दाइ यो देशको प्रधानमन्त्री को हो भन्दा गिरिजा प्रसाद कोइराला भन्यो क्या. So he was only about 12 years behind time. Right? And the amazing part is, how do they reach Kathmandu? Is the adrenaline rush. मेरो आफन्तलाई बचाउनु पर्यो. Right? Because when they reach here, now they don't know their way back. Right? Sometimes you wonder, it is a bolero ride to a village in Kathmandu in Nepal is about an airfare to New York. Right? There is a lady that we rescued on a helicopter from Gorkha. Right? Her daughter is now studying in Hetauda. She got a scholarship into agriculture. So I asked her, तिमीले पहिला चोटी बस कहिले देख्या भने एसएलसी सकिएर गोरखाबाट हेटौडा जाँदाखेरि पहिला चोटी त्यो 4 वटा चक्का भएको बस देख्या, which was just recently. This lady was in the hospital for about 3 months with us. मलाई देख्यो भने खित्का छोडेर हाँस्ने. So I used to think probably she has some, mental issues. She never spoke to me. She only laughed when she saw me. Till I went to Hetauda, and then this girl called her mother on WhatsApp, right? And the mother would go on and on for 45 minutes telling her daughter what to tell me, because she had so many things to thank me for. Except I wouldn't speak Gurung and she wouldn't speak Nepali, right? So 4 years later, I realized that laugh was a thank you smile to me, right? And now she could express it because her daughter can be the translator. So यो त कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ भने human beings are all simple people, right? There is birth and there is death. In between, there is time pass. We're taking it too seriously. Right? I think it is, if we walk into our house and we look around, 60% सामान त चाहिँदैन चाहिने भइसक्यो. किनभने त्यो बेलामा वीमा आयो, we all bought it. Right? These people are so happy because तिनीहरूलाई वीमै लाग्दैन के भाइ. Right? They don't. There is a gentleman from Mugu. His call comes at any goddamn time. राति 1 बजे, कहिले बिहान 5 बजे. So first I thought यो गाउँ गएपछि चाहिँ रक्सी धेरै खाँदो रहेछ. त्यो होइन रहेछ के भाइ. He keeps his phone in his hand. If there is network, he calls me. So he doesn't know what time the network comes. So I pick up his phone irrespective of whatever time, because त्यो दिन network उसको मैले call उठाएन भने, and maybe he can't call me for another 10 days. Right? So यो त यस्तो त धेरै धेरै भयो भाइ. अब एसिड केसेस भयो, त्यहाँबाट हस्बेन्ड वाइफको भनौँ न 15 लिटर तातो तेल भकभक कराईमा उमालेर स्वास्नीको टाउकोबाट खनाइदियो, होइन, केरोसिनले आगो लगाइदियो, देन कम्स द एक्सिडेन्ट्स, होइन. तर एउटा चिज के हुँदो रहेछ भने भाइ, जुन त्यो क्राइम या जुन त्यो पेन उनीहरूले बेयर गर्छ नि, त्यो भन्दा पेनफुल इज हेल्पलेसनेस. when you actually rush into a hospital and they say यहाँ उपचारै हुँदैन, right? या उपचार गर्न यति पैसा चाहिन्छ. No one is prepared. यो बर्न त कोही पनि प्रिपेयरै हुँदैन के भाइ. If only we knew, मैले भने नि सुरुमै, हजारौं मान्छेले एउटै कुरा के भन्छ भने मलाई हुँदै हुँदैन भन्न ठानेको थिए नि. So I think if someone like people like us, like-minded people like us, if we make it a national voice, होइन, किनभने यो इट्स अल फर अस. म मान्छेको एउटा कुरै बुझ्दिनँ के भाइ. दाइ अर्काको लागि अर्कालाई गरे होइन भाउ. भरे ग्यास सिलिन्डरमा आफै परियो भने आफूलाई पनि त जाने ठाउँ चाहियो, होइन. इट इज फर मी, इट इज फर माई फ्यामिली, इट इज फर माई फ्रेन्ड्स. आई एम नट डुइङ इट फर एनी वान, आई एम डुइङ इट फर माई सेल्फ. त्यति कुरा किन बुझ्नु पर्यो भने भाइ, लाइफस्टाइल बेस्ड डिजिजेस अर्कै चिज हो, राइट. यो एक्सिडेन्ट हो. Like if someone knew he's going to have a motorcycle accident, do you think he would have taken his bike out? No. Right? This is the same. If I knew there is an explosion going to happen, you think I'll click my gas? I will not. I wouldn't know. Right? So यो चीजमा I think पीडा भोग्ने गरिब, चुपो लाएर बस्ने सम्पन्न र शिक्षित. I think this is the barrier that we need to break. Right? If the affluent and the educated make a voice for the people who are the poorest and they get burnt, the change will happen much quicker than what we can imagine. किनभने भाइ यो त it is अब India, 6 million people get burnt every year. Every All India Medical Institute has free treatment for burns. Free. Just the one in Delhi does about 8,000 surgeries every year, free of cost. किनभने it is accidental, right? So till Nepal does not follow that footstep, God only knows how many people get burnt in Nepal. हामीसँग the statistics पनि complete छैन, right?
Maybe some sort of awareness would also help in these areas. अब हामीले त यो podcast गर्यो, the urban crowd will know it, but maybe
it is अहिले we trying to do it with tying up with the police. अब जस्तो पुलिसको बिचरा, they've got a whole unit that talks about fire safety. No one invites them. So just day before yesterday, we've tied up with the police. We'll be traveling with them to different cool colleges and villages. Because for me, I do not believe in poster campaigns. Because अहिले मैले भने नि यो जहाँको प्रब्लम हो त्यहाँ भिजुअली देखाउन सक्नुपर्छ किनभने त्यहाँ इन्टरनेटै पुगेको छैन हामी त नेपाल त के भन्न ठान्छौँ भने हाम्रो देश सबै काठमाडौँ जस्तो छैन प्रिन्ट मिडिया पुगेकै छैन टेलिभिजन पुग्दैन इभन दिस पडकास्ट वन्ट रिच देयर सो वाट इज द ओन्ली अप्सन इज अ फिजिकल अपियरेन्स देयर सो विल बी ट्राभलिङ विथ द पुलिस टिम फर डेमोन्स्ट्रेसन and a medical team to explain as to what needs to be done. And when I was asked, how will you pull the crowd? How will you tell people that you're going to do this? I said, there's a simple theory. I'll have five fire brigades running around. The sound of a fire brigade usually brings out people, whether it is urban or rural. So it'll be a fire awareness campaign run by the fire department and Nepal Prahari and different hospitals who deal with burns. And I think through that, and also the education side, the government has to put it into its curriculum for children to be aware of this. Because हामी खाना नपकाए कोही पनि बाँच्दैनौँ हैन अर्को is I think the most important part is the empathy of those who have. Till this is not done, right? We've all be empathetic to give a little bit away, so these helpless people can do it, right? Can make it through. One thing amazing about Nepal is we are very, very emotional people, right? That is why I think too many of us fall in and out of love very, very quickly, because we get hurt very easily. We very emotional. Two things sell in Nepal by emotions and anger. It depends which one you want to create. Right? Burn is something very emotional, right? So if we talk to people, if we make them aware, we will find a solution. Right? Just though there's a definite thing that Nepal government should do to make it a universal thing. Is हामी कहाँ जुन पञ्चकन्या छ नि when head of states come with all that comes, I said, why don't we have 5 burn survivors as Panchakanya? Why are we still focusing on beauty? Right? Because I'm a man who believes beauty needs to be redefined in this country. And I think we've got too many beauty businesses, fashion houses, and everyone promoting the wrong side of beauty. If you want to see the real beauty, come to a burn hospital. You might see the scar. But there are amazing human beings inside that scar. Here, we've got very, very beautiful women who are all decked up. But from the inside, they're scarred. So for me, the beauty is not the scar on the skin, it's the scar inside that is painful, right? So if we can redefine beauty, and if we start spending a little more time on the social issues rather than in front of the mirror, I think the change will come in Nepal.
Website or something?
We'll provide you that so that you can put it down, right? It's an organization called Easy Healthcare Foundation, right? So it is about burn awareness, burn treatment, and any and everything to do with burns, right? And as an individual, I have a message to everyone, especially the teenagers, and I brought up 3 daughters, right? Is 90% of urban burns is because of alcohol, right? It might sound silly, but when you're drunk and you have a cigarette in your hand and you sleep, if you did not wake up with a burnt blanket, rarely are you drunk to that limit. You're lucky if you found a spot in your bed that was burnt and not the whole bed or the whole house. Right? A lot of people make that mistake of smoking when they're drunk in bed, right, or in their couches, right? If you see your couches around, if you're a smoker, you'll see a burn mark. Just thank God that you are lucky that day, right? It just didn't trigger off, right? The other part is your gas balera yetara uta tanne. We are obsessed with heat किनभने हामी लोड सेडिङमा हुर्किया जेनेरेसन अहिले बत्ती पाएपछि जता पनि हिटर बाल्ने हैन that is another cause, urban causes हैन. The crime, is it crime? I don't think so. It's jealousy. we are an over-jealous community, right? We're jealous about everything. We're jealous about a bike. We're jealous about the looks. We're jealous about the popularity. We're jealous about everything, right? And I just read one headline that was so catching to me when it said popularism भनेको चाहिँ मस्तिष्कविहीन हृदय. I've never heard a better one, right? किनभने it is true. We're so emotional, we don't even use our head after that, right? I wish more and more people would speak about burns and even sharing stories, right? There are multiple reasons of burn. Like if you're frying an egg, please tell people तलबाट हाल्नुस् क्या, माथिबाट हाल्दा छिटा पर्दो रहेछ, तेलले पोल्दो रहेछ, right? Let's start a conversation about burns, our experiences. कफीले पोल्यो होला, हैन, चुरोट सल्काउँदा तीनजनाले सल्काउँदै त्यो लास्टमा त्यो सलाइले पोल्यो होला, हैन. We've all gone through it. So a conversation of burn would start an awareness campaign by itself.
Yeah. Right? Especially since it being such a major thing everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Besides
it is.
Nepal. Yeah.
It is.
Maybe our country is so poor that we don't even have the time to talk about this. Maybe त्यसले नै होला. But at least we have people like you, Dai. Thank you so much for whatever you're doing.
It's my... I consider myself lucky because, as I said, not many people get a calling in life. And even if you do, there are not many who follow it. So I consider myself fortunate that, I work for the least fortunate people in Nepal. And it gives me immense satisfaction more than anything else.
Besides that, what do we have time for? Normally, के गर्नु हुन्छ?
अहिले त टाइमै छैन भाइ. हैन, winter months is terrible.
When does this start? After Tiar?
No, it's हाम्रो त फेरि तीनटा terrain छ नि त. So that the higher altitude starts getting colder quicker. Now it is slowly reaching the Madhes with Seet Lahar. So your 3-4 months is terrible. हामी चाहिँ यसलाई
November, December, January, February.
Yes. And then we call it the season time, right? And then comes the celebration time, which is New Year, Christmas, our bonfire burns, party burns, त्यो बेग्लै छ, हैन. त्यो भन्दा पनि I think apart from this, what do I do? भन्ने question is a good one. If you ask my family, I don't have time for anything. किनभने the worst part about burns is you don't know what time it's going to happen. Right? So बिहान हिँड्ने ambulance बेलुका आइपुग्छ, बेलुका हिँड्ने ambulance बिहान आइपुग्छ. Right? And then मेरो एउटा नराम्रो बानी के छ भने भाइ, I cannot sit in an office. I actually personally go and visit everyone that I've helped till today, right? Because that teaches me a lesson every time, and I'm still learning. So apart from this, I don't know, I don't do anything. But I do enjoy my music, the Mukesh and the Kishore Kumar ones, not the modern ones.
And also I'd like to take this chance to thank Routine of Nepal Bandha for being there, because a lot of people don't know the CSRs that they've been doing.
Yes. They've always been there, whether it is awareness, whether it is CSR, whether it is medical funds, right? And sometimes even their influence, right? Because when you need to scare a few bureaucrats, it is quite nice to threaten them through that, right? So it works. As long as the poor people get their share, that's fine.
Brother, I hope that this word gets out. I hope that we build a few connections from the listeners out there, and I hope that the problem that you're trying to solve, a lot of people join hands and follow your lead, man. This is amazing. I'm honored to have had you here. I've known you for years and years, and I know what you've been doing selflessly, and finally मान्छेहरूलाई सुनाउन पाउँदाखेरि देखाउन पाउँदाखेरि people like these exist, especially in country like Nepal. हामीलाई चाहिँ यस्तो मान्छेहरूको एकदम खाँचो परिरहेको हुन्छ. Because you see government को आफ्नै छ, businesses हरूले आफ्नै ध्यान दिइरहेको हुन्छ, तर truly लागिरहेको मान्छे चाहिँ थोरै जना छ. अनि this table is honored by having you here. The
Thank
show
you
is
so
honored.
much,
Thank you
man.
so much, Dai.
Thank you. A pleasure.
Dai, I think I would want to like finish the thing here and then go out and talk about other stuffs also.
Right.
So before that, if there's anything that you'd want to say to the audience before.
No, it is to the young generation. I have one simple request. We all travel overseas for education.
Mhm.
How about fire safety as a course that you choose?
Mhm.
It is in huge demand across the world.
Mhm.
Right. I've never heard a Nepali student saying, I'm going to do fire safety engineering or fire safety courses. So if you're listening to this, that is a amazingly well-paid job across the globe. And it'll also bring down my problems if you study that course.
And also drills, man. We need fire
Yes.
safety drills in
Yes.
schools. That would be awesome. अनि अर्को एउटा दाइ तपाईँसँग खास गरी यो अलिकति सिरियस कुराको बारेमा मात्रै गफ गर्ने भयो आज अलिकति फिलोसफिकल कुरा अरू लाइफको कुरा पनि गर्न मजा आउँथ्यो होला विल डु द्याट समडे ल
Sure,
यो सबै कुरा
definitely.
एकछिन बिर्सेर चिया खाँदै मजाले गफ गर्दा
definitely.
फेरि वन्स अगेन तर बिफोर वी गो आउट आई अलवेज आस्क दिस चिजी क्लिसेड क्वेसन फर to every of one of my guests and
Right.
I just some different perspective आउँदा मजा आउँछ so before we head out before we end the show for you what's life how do you define it
Okay,
for you?
life is simple. As I said, never controlled the day I was to be born. I cannot control the day I'm going to die. In between, it's a jovial ride. Take it as it comes, man. People are too serious about life. For me, it is simple because I see so much pain around. I know how lucky I am. So for me, life is just a time pass, man. There's nothing else to life. It's between life and death. It's a motion that I enjoy, and that's about it. I don't take anything seriously in life.
Comes from someone I think who's seen a lot. So thank you, Dai. Thank you so much
No
again.
worries.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Dai.
It's
Thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you.
And once again, down link my actual description ma hernu hola. This cause would need a lot of help, and Dai, anytime you can call me, you can
Sure.
call us, and if there's anyone, please join hands. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
So much. All right, we're signing out after a long time. Thank you so much, guys. This is Paradygm's podcast. भन्नु नि बिर्सेको यस्तो छ लड बढ्यो म त Thank you, Dai.
Thank you.
Signing off.